This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library
enough. You can get the Truefire All Access Pass for as cheap as they ever do it, the $99 thing. So just jump and do that if you're looking for the best price that you can get Truefire All Access for. So last night I was chatting to Lewis, who is a guitar teacher in Taunton. Chris, you at least know him if you're watching this. Yeah, so he was talking about how when he's teaching, he uses a Neural DSP plugin, and I can't remember what you said the other chap. So Fender Mustang. Fender Mustang is what his students plug into. And he's a big fan of the Neural DSP plugins. And I was also doing a video the other day talking about Scuff S gear. And all of it's kind of just got me thinking in the back of my head, because Lewis has a Line 6 Helix, which he gigs, but he's not tried Helix Native. Now, for me personally, I hadn't really... Helix Native was the first thing that I tried. I was just reamping some stuff, and that's how my first introduction to Helix. There was like a free trial. But at that time, my computer wasn't really good enough to run plugins all that well, so using plugins wasn't really part of my workflow. At this point now, my life is completely different in that regard, in that pretty much for most videos, what you're hearing me plugging into is straight into my audio interface and into Helix Native. I think that's been a big change for me, and it's aided hugely by the fact that I think Helix Native might be the last plugin that any guitarist really needs to buy. And if you've already got a Helix, I think you get it super cheap anyway. So it's sort of, to me, a bit of a no-brainer. I'm going to jump into this video and show you a few ways that I use it. But if you're, considering any guitar plugin, I think this one should be high on the top of the list. There's one slight downside to it versus some other plugins, and that is that there's no real standalone mode. But you can run it in your DAW, so like I just run it in Reaper whilst I'm using Reaper. Other than that, to me, it's more flexible than any other plugin. Provides options for like dual amping and quad amping and all that sort of stuff if you want. Has an incredible amount of effects choices and all of that sort of stuff in there. Has things like the Line 6 M9 sort of sound in there, the legacy stuff, as well as all of the more up-to-date stuff. Has amps in there like Bogner Ecstasy, Grammatico GSG for your Dumble type tones, Fenders, Marshalls, all of the stuff that pretty much covers pretty much anything that you could want. If you paired this, for instance, with the NAMM player, which is free, you've basically got anything you need, I think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to jump into an introduction here. Now I'm going to jump into the plugin, show you some of the things that I like to do on it. But yeah, let me know if you've heard anyone else using Helix Native. I still think it's a bit unsung. I've not really heard any pros talking about Helix Native at all, which is a bit of a surprise. So we'll jump into Helix Native here. I'm sat quite near my speaker, and that's a Soldano, so that's going to sound a little bit on the noisy sound. But for instance, like just old preset. Like, there's so much that you can do here. These are just jumping through my own sort of presets that I've made over the years. So let's just jump into, for instance, some of the things. So like the other day, this was just, you know, going through some of those presets and bits and pieces from the M9 that Tom Bukovac's a fan of. It's just fantastic stuff, the lead. Here's a bit of a weirder preset. Like, there's such a cool suite of stuff in here. This was an idea that I basically got. Polycapos and pitch effects also in Helix Native are, I think, better than anything else you can get, except for like Digitech, which is on par, I would say. But here, this idea was. Just so inspiring, this sort of stuff. We could do, if you wanted to make it, you know, like more of a sort of vibey thing. The other thing is that you can run it in, if you go down here, compatibility mode. So here I've got it so that it's compatible with floor, but you can actually have it so that it's off. Then you can build presets that can just go absolutely bonkers. But I generally run it in this mode so that it can run on other devices, you know. So if I want to take this from here onto my real world device, I can. But you know, if you want to just continue to build the preset here, go into like Helix mode, bring that down here, and now we can do stuff like, okay, well, what if I wanted a bit more of a, you know, out there sort of vibe? You know, we can just go to town and we could have these, if I go in favorites actually, this is another cool thing, like these favorites mean that I can just literally go in and pull up my favorite effect sounds just with no effort at all. But also cool things like, for instance, this ADT. If you, whatever you want to do, Helix Native, you kind of do it all. Here's an old sort of, well, not old, I did it the other day, but just using a matchless DC30 to kind of get some more voxy tone. Just the sheer amount of amps that are in here as well, you know, like. You know, Marshalls if we want them, or PV. Just so rich, like there's just so much you can do. any other plugin is as complete an experience as this one. And although it may not be visually necessarily the best plugin out there, I think in terms of actual usable tones and stuff like that, and being able to really get in and kind of just do so much more than any other guitar plugin. I can't think of anything that's really anywhere near close to this. You know, I just think it's fantastic. The one thing I would say is you need to sit away from your screen if you're using single coils like I am here. But yeah, I think it's fantastic. Catch you in another video soon. If you want these presets that I'm using here, jump into the Gumroad folder, and they're all in there. Like, I've made hundreds and hundreds of them over the years, and I still think some of them sound pretty good. They're pretty useful things, particularly like this one. Yeah, catch you in another video soon. Cheers.